Alrighty, very good. I'll share my screen. We will come back to Blackboard in a little bit and show you everything that we're going to be doing in Blackboard. For the moment, I just wanted to show you that I have my YouTube channel, and included in that is our intro video that I recorded previously. So let's watch that together as everybody is joining.
Hi everybody, I'm Dr. David Hickson. Welcome to my backyard. I'm a Mesoamerican archaeologist by trade. I focus on remote sensing, 3D visualization, aerial remote sensing, drones, synthetic aperture radar, Landsat, other multispectral. That's kind of my forte. However, I also have about 25 years experience in CRM in the United States. And that is going to be the focus of this field school. Are the basic field techniques that every American archaeologist learns from field school, or should. Shovel methods, surveying, laying out a grid, establishing a datum, laying out test pits, excavating test pits in a stratigraphic manner, taking all of the appropriate field notes and photographs, and creating a basic field report at the end. I've actually owned this property for about 10 years, and I've saved the excavations for something just like this. So this is the Hendricks House farm. It was founded in 1790. It was a deed from Lord Fairfax. And the same family, the Hendricks family, lived on this property for the next 200 years. And so this really will be the archaeology of the Hendricks family, who still lives in this area. As a matter of fact, the next farm over is still owned by one of the Hendrickses. This farm then split off in the early 1800s. You'll see some photographs of a beautiful red barn next door. That one was created for the son of the founder of the original Hendricks. We're going to go through the whole genealogy together. Obviously, you will be doing your own research on your property while I am doing my research on mine. On the property, we have a few historic structures. There is a little red structure right here that I am not sure exactly what it is. When we purchased it, the seller said it was the smokehouse. I don't think so. And currently, my thought is some type of cool storage, probably for cooling dairy or something like that. Even just a dry storage, cool dry storage, a little off the kitchen. We also have a carriage house, which is kind of the catch-all term for a garage. And then we have probably on this property a slave quarters. Probably on this property we would have the privy, the well, things like that. Although I do not know where those things are. I have not excavated my own property yet. I saved this just for this occasion, when I would finally need to do this so that students and others could learn from the opportunity to dig at my house.
That or I just come home and don't feel like digging my own house.
That you may have seen in the CGI video I created. This intermittent stream was most certainly the reason why the Hendricks family settled here. And most likely there was a spring house somewhere within this part of the property. All right, so some of you might recognize this structure from the CGI demo that I made earlier. I want to emphasize that this class will be live. This will not be some virtual archaeological dig where I dig in pixels on the screen. I will be digging my own backyard, videotaping it like this, and then putting it out for my students to watch as lessons. And then they will be doing the same in their backyards, videotaping themselves and sending it back to me. This way we'll have an interactive archaeological dig from my backyard to yours. I'm going to be going through my own backyard, showing you things that archaeologists will need to be aware of in terms of hazard awareness.
Hey guys,
and
hold on just a
mitigation,
second. We got a
things to
student who
avoid,
is
how
locked
to
out.
avoid them, and how to keep yourself safe as a professional archaeologist. So as you can see, I have plenty of room.
We have a students locked out of the class, and I'm going to try and get them in real quick. Sorry, I have a text message, and I'm trying to figure out why they are locked out. But so we have a code that is 943496. All right. Who here has not seen the rest of that video? Okay, you have. Any questions about the content that you've seen so far? Let's start off with just basic questions of the organization of the class. And what I'm going to do is have your mics muted unless you actively unmute it and ask a question. All right, so who here has just a programmatic question about how this is going to run, about me digging my site and uploading them, and then you digging your site, uploading videos? Any programmatic questions before I begin the introduction? I'm sure you have tons of little questions, but why don't I walk us through then? So if you guys have seen most of that, I'm going to show you our, let's see, share screen. So we have a Hood College. For you guys, you go to students, and you go to Blackboard. We have a Blackboard site. When you log in, all of our information will be logged under Art 370. No matter what class you have signed up for, we are going to, because some of you have also signed up for Art 380, all of the data is going to be put on this Art 370 because they're consecutive classes. Ooh, why did I not click on that? There we go. Oh, that's 2018. 2020. There we go. All right. So this is where you notice that we have each individual day's announcements. If I set an announcement here, this is Blackboard. For those of you, I know some are from other schools. Blackboard is like Sakai or any of those class management programs. If I post an announcement here, it's going to go to everybody on the email list as long as I have everything checked right. This is also where you're going to see in the left-hand area, we have course information. You can watch my intro video again right here, the one that I was just kind of playing in the background. The syllabus is right here that I will go over with you. And then course documents is where you really want to focus each week. Course documents is where I'm going to put the resources for each week. And then there's one area that I'm going to have you create, and that is discussion boards. I want each of you to create a discussion thread that's your backyard archaeology. You can title it whatever you want, title it the name of your property, try and include your last name in there somewhere. And it would be, Hickson's Backyard Archaeology. And that way, if any of you want to follow along with my excavations, that's where I'm going to be journaling. And you, as an archaeologist, you need to learn to journal as well. So this is going to be an area you're going to create your own little daily field notes section, and it's in the discussion board. So I'm going to do that real quick in front of you. Here's a discussion board. I'm going to create a forum. So this would be class, let's see, class daily field notes. I'm going to create that for the entire class. That's the forum. Now I'm going to create a thread for myself. Hickson daily field notes. There we go. I've just created one. All right. Now, if I want to, I can have a blog that's going to go for each day what I've done. And so today I can enter that I did my field walkover, which I'll show you in a little bit. So that's going to be part of your Blackboard assignment each day, is to log on and just, even if it's just for 2 minutes, and you log on and you say, this is, it was rainy today, I wasn't able to do much, I'll get back to it tomorrow. That's fine. That's a log of what happened that day. And so this is just your daily field notes to make sure that you are, it's hard at the end of a season, let alone many years in the future, to remember what you did each day. You think you're going to remember it, but you don't. And so it's actually good to take these field notes in archaeology, no matter what the project. So those are the main areas you're going to see. You have course information for the syllabus and background information. Course documents is where I'll be posting initial stuff. Discussion board is where you will post your daily field notes. And assignments is the tab where you hand stuff in. Now, I will also link the assignment tab to the weekly course documents. I haven't done that yet. But this is where, if you click on assignments, this is where I can create an area that you can hand something in. How do you hand something in on Blackboard? Most of you have probably done this. Those of you new to Blackboard, you click on an assignment, and then you have a couple of options. You can write a submission, in which case, let's say the only thing you want to send to me is a link. Okay, no problem. Just paste that link in there and you submit it. And you have submitted a link as your assignment. Or let's say you have a picture you want to submit. Browse my computer. Select a photo. Okay. And then submit. And that has become your submission. And you can do both. You can write a submission and browse your computer and hand in text and a Word file and an image file and whatever you want. So that is where you're going to hand things in. Please do it that way. Don't email me your assignments, because then I'll be getting random emails from everybody. I need everything to come into one place. So when you're going to hand stuff in, hand it in here. That's why I say hand in here. All right, so let's look at where we are and what we're doing. Questions on this so far? Okay, good. So we are in week 1. When we're in week 1, you look in the week 1 folder. We are currently in lesson 1 of week 1. I will be uploading these as we go. I don't have this all pre-packaged, ready to go. I have not completed my excavations. You're going to be following along with me as we go. So I'm going to be uploading these. I'm sure I'm going to run into troubles as well. All right, so things are going to happen as we go. It's going to be live. But for right now, everything's running smoothly so far. And we've got the intro video and the lesson 1 walkover. All right. If we look on our course information and look at the syllabus, that is where we are in week 1. And probably a good time to go over the syllabus anyway. Everybody should have downloaded this. This is archaeological field work. What important things in here? You've got my email already. That is my personal cell phone. that 217 number. Please feel free to text me at any time. You saw me answer a student's text just a second ago. I have no problem with that. All right. Don't think you're bothering me if you text me or email me ever. If I am busy, I'm going to ignore you. All right. So it's not a problem. If I have no problem filtering my emails and things like that. I do have a problem getting back to people quickly sometimes. I don't have a problem with people bothering me. Okay. So feel free to text me. You have seen the equipment list, which is great. That is one of your first assignments. Under course documents, I'm sorry, under assignments, equipment list, hand in here. I need you to hand in what you have actually been able to acquire. If you have not done this yet, please do so. Make a list of everything that you've actually gotten out of this list. And ideally also just a quick photo of kind of most of the equipment together. It doesn't have to be everything, but just so I can get a glimpse of the quality of your stuff and any challenges that you might be facing with equipment. So please do that today. That is one of your assignments that should be done kind of by the end of class today. Make sure that is in. Then going down here, we've got, I switched the order just a slight bit. You'll see that today we were supposed to cover Miss Utility, which we will talk about a little bit, and tools and proper protective equipment. But I'd like to come back to that. And our first official lesson I've uploaded as this walkover lesson. And so we're going to watch that one together. I filmed that yesterday. We're going to watch it together. And then I'm going to have you go and do those two main things, which is make sure you have your equipment list together and uploaded. And then if you are at your field site, which I believe most of you are, please go and do a video walkover. And together we're going to troubleshoot and make sure everybody knows how to create a video, upload it to YouTube, and send it to Blackboard. Okay, so we're going to do all that kind of together. Questions on that? So today is getting the nuts and bolts down of how we're going to do this class. And then each week you're going to see, so we've got down here, we're in week 1. So we're talking about equipment and preparation, and we'll eventually get to background research. We're going to meet every day at 9 a.m., Monday through Thursday, here in Zoom. I will be creating a daily list of Zoom sessions. I haven't done that yet. I need to. I just realized that I can do that with the Pro version that I own. I can set up these Zoom sessions that exist whether I launch them or not. And so I will be doing that, and we will have just daily set Zoom sessions everybody can join. These sessions, since I paid for the premium version, these sessions can last up to 24 hours as long as there is activity going on in it. It can't exist just with one person in it. So we'll work out the kinks if we run into any problems with that. The work product that I'm expecting out of you all is essentially, I want to see your videos that mirror what I'm doing. I want to see you doing the same type of activities that I do, showing proper protective gear, that you're being safe, that you are following the rules, that you are learning something from each lesson. All right, so those are the basics. And field school is not like another class where you're doing things exactly like right or wrong. It's more about are you following along and getting it? Do you understand why we're doing something? And if you don't, then explain it to me so we can really get into you being the professional and you knowing why we're doing each step and how to do each step. It's a little bit like a video, okay? A training class. As a matter of fact, some of students in here are actually taking this as a training. So we'll get back to here. So we have several students in here who are actually biologists who are taking this as some of their first archaeology classes. In order to just cover all the bases, let me give you just a brief lecture. What is archaeology? Who here has never worked on an archaeological project and doesn't know exactly what goes on? You can raise your hand or wave. Oh, good. Seems that, well, yeah, I've got some archaeology students who haven't had the full experience, but you know what it's about. Okay, good. So what we're going to be doing is what we call contract style archaeology, CRM, cultural resource management. It's the business style of archaeology. Archaeology can be both academic and applied. This is the applied version of archaeology. And every archaeologist that works in the field needs to learn these particular tasks. Archaeology inherently, the one lesson I've got to tell everybody is archaeology is destructive. We are going to destroy the evidence that we are looking for. That is the point of archaeology. And so you only dig when you are prepared to dig. And you only dig when you have a purpose for your excavations. It's one of the reasons why I haven't excavated my own yard, is because this is a house that dates back to 1790. You don't just go out and start digging. You pre-plan, you do research, you find a reason why to dig. Now for CRM, oftentimes it's because somebody else is going to build a house there, or somebody else is going to build a new roundabout or an off-ramp of the highway. And you're going to be the last person to dig and research that property, and you need to verify to the government that there are no cultural resources there. Nothing important. That's really what CRM is about. One of the reasons to dig is to find out, is there anything there? And that's going to be the closest thing resembling your dig this year, is that we don't know really if there's going to be anything in your backyard. So let's pretend that you want to put something like a gazebo in your backyard or a pool. And anytime government money, especially state and federal money, is used for some type of public works project, it is mandated in the United States that an archaeologist has to sign off on that. Just like you need a biologist to say that there's no endangered animal that's going to be destroyed, their habitat or anything like that, or wetlands that are going to be destroyed. So you need an archaeologist to say, yeah, sure, you can build that new off-ramp. Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to pretend like you have some public works project in your property that's going to disturb your backyard, and you're going to do the research to say what you found and what's your recommendation at the end. Are you recommending, actually, there was no cultural resources, I've done my testing, you can go ahead with the project? Or, actually, we found some pretty interesting stuff, we recommend going on to phase 2, phase 3 work. And so that's what we're going to do. A brief little lesson for those not into archaeology, not familiar with archaeology. Phase 1 is testing whether there is a site there, site survey. Phase 2 is testing the significance of what you found. So you found something, but you need to test what its significance. Is it really that important? Phase 3 is we found something important and we're going to do full mitigation. We're going to do research. We're going to get as much information out of this thing as we can. so that we can tell the engineers either to avoid this in their new plans, or we're going to dig the heck out of it because it's going to be destroyed by that overpass no matter what. So we better get all the information out of it that we can. That's phase 3. We're doing phase 1. Is there a site in your backyard? And that does involve digging, right? So we're going to do a phase 1 archaeological survey of your backyard. Questions on that before we go to the first video? All righty. So this is my first video that I uploaded today. Get back to here. Oh, I closed my YouTube. All right, so here is what you are going to be doing after we finish up right here. This is going to be your first lesson today. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Sorry, I'm a little cute in the morning. I just. Yeah.
So, good morning, class. I'm doing my best Mr. Rogers impersonation here because I'm putting on the proper protective equipment for starting my day as an archaeologist. We are going to be doing our first site walkover. This is the initial site walkover that familiarizes yourself with this new project that you have decided to take on. In your case, it's your backyard. In my case, it's my backyard. But this is going to be appropriate for any project that you might do from here on out. You get a contract, you get a research grant, you go and you just scope out the site first. Look for hazards, look for things you might need to consider down the road. That's what we're going to do today. All right, so first of all, you can see why I put on my reflective vest. This street is fairly active. People drive about 55 miles an hour on it. Anytime you're within range of traffic, you're going to want to put on a safety vest. So I am right across the street from my house. You can kind of see it in the background there. And here's something else you want to keep an eye out for. Any of these, see if I can get it all in frame for you. Any of these poking out of the ground, that is some indication of a buried utility. In this case, fiber optic cables. And you see there's actually a little pad on the floor there on the ground. We don't want to be cutting off anybody's FiOS TV, right? So when you see that, you know there's an entire line going along this side of the road. If I was to survey this land, I would know to avoid the entire corridor along this side of this road. So this is the old historic road that separated the Hendricks farm that I'm on from the later Hendricks farm across the street. And this was the original entrance and carriage house for the old Hendricks property that we will be investigating. So this carriage house, like I said, it's pretty much just a garage, but it's a garage prior to the time of cars. So what would I expect here? Probably some form of driveway later on, because my guess is that they did park something mechanical in that garage once cars were invented. So I would expect probably a driveway gravel right here. And then you see we have a rock wall, which is outlining the bedrock outcrop supporting my house. Next we have the old front yard. So this is the historic front porch that once faced the son's property across the way. What would you expect to find in somebody's front yard? Not a lot, right? Your front yard, you generally keep clean. That's a social area. Another thing to look out for, do you have any statuary of pets or anything like that on the property? If you do, you probably have a buried pet.
That's actually the previous owner's
So
dog.
I'm seeing right here that there's a utility pole in this brush, and there's no overhead lines going to the house.
This one's kind of important.
If there are no overhead lines going to the house, that means this is a drop pole. It means that electricity is coming to the house here in this pole, then going underground and connecting to the house at that corner. So you're going to want to look for where the electricity goes into the house. You see it's dropping down, and then those are buried cables hooked up to that pole over there, which means that this ground in between that pole and my house has all of the electrical line going to my house. This is a pump head, a well pump head. This is where my fresh water comes from in my house. If you see anything like that, that is your plumbing. Of course, there was a historic open well on this property. That was in the side yard right here. Historic maps show some type of well in this area, although I have not rediscovered it. It is illegal to have an open well right now. You know, you've heard the stories of kids falling into wells. So most of those have been capped. Mine has. There are historic archaeological sites where if the site was just abandoned, that well may still be open. And I have worked at sites where we worked for 2 years in this overgrown thicket. And the third year we come back and find out we've been working right next to this open well that anybody could have fallen through any moment. So keep your eyes open for open water wells. So I showed you these propane tanks in the earlier video. I just wanted to point them out again in that notice that these are next to this old outbuilding. They're not servicing that old outbuilding, right? You wouldn't put up 2 huge propane tanks next to an outbuilding. These are servicing the main house. This is how I heat my house in the winter. This is how I cook my food, which means that this propane is going to the house through underground buried cables, pipes. So what's one thing we wouldn't do? Dig anywhere between those tanks and the house. Out in the country, we don't really have too many options for cable. And so most folks have a satellite dish. That satellite dish has to face south usually and have an unobstructed view of the sky, which means that these will be placed far away from a house. In my case, this is probably about 50 yards or so from my house, which again means buried cable. And this is not going to be something that's marked on some utility grid. This is something that you as a homeowner should know, or somebody has to come out and survey and mark. So I've mentioned this little outbuilding a few times now. Let's take a peek inside it and see whether or not we want to explore it further. Just using my selfie stick, you can see that there's just a lot of old crap in here. Those are shingles, old doors. Not sure what that blue thing is in the background. So what did we learn from just a peek inside there? We would need serious gloves. We would need long sleeve shirts, maybe even some face mask material just in case you'd be inhaling any type of dangerous chemicals or anything that might have been stored in there. Old outbuildings are a hazard waiting to happen. So you have to be extra careful when you're working with the crap that people would throw in their outbuildings. By the way, I didn't put that crap in there. That's how I bought it. So coming up my driveway, you see that this driveway is the new front of the house. The old front of the house is facing the road. In about the year 2000, it switched to this side of the house. What was this road then? Well, having worked and lived here for a while, I know that this road actually is a field edge road that continued up here. So I'm going to expect, if I do a shovel test pit right here, that I would end up with field edge road. One of those access points to access this field here. We also have a relatively new outbuilding. Despite some of the windows and doors on it, it is not an historic structure. How do I know? It's built with modern 6x6s and 2x4s. Now it's hard to tell, but I am right next to the septic for my house. Pretty much nobody but the homeowner knows where their septic is. It's intentionally buried, intentionally hidden. And if you hit it with a shovel, you might make a mess. So be aware, be careful if you end up digging in something that looks like very, very artificial stone, very like it's meant to filter things, right? So sand and pebbles, that usually is encasing some form of septic system. So if you're digging in an area and you find just this weird mix of sand and gravel, pause and think why. It might be a septic, might be a driveway, you never know, but it's something to look out for. One of the first things you're going to assess when you get on site is surface visibility. All right, so when you're in my lawn, there is almost zero surface visibility. We could not just walk over this lawn and say what might be beneath. However, a lot of archaeology occurs in agricultural fields. There, actually, you can see some surface visibility. So if I were to put together a team to survey this field, as opposed to my property, I actually would start with a surface walkover, a formal surface walkover, a pedestrian survey, where we are just looking for any surface indications of features. Here in my yard, that really only would be limited to built architecture, right? Nothing under the surface is going to be indicated at all because of this thick lawn. So therefore, any additional testing for any historic structures will have to be done through excavations rather than surface survey. My backyard is a mix of mowed lawn and thick underbrush. I left this portion just to grow back for two reasons. One, I didn't feel like mowing the lawn for an acre and a half was really a good use of energy and fuel. And also, the deer love it. So we have various deer populations that come through here and often make their beds. I've made a little walking trail through my backyard. And so we're going to have to consider two different things. One is what we'll need while we excavate or survey in the open mowed areas, and what must we consider in the overgrown areas. While you're doing your walkover, you may not have the chance to see any type of crop marks, but since I've actually lived here for 10 years, I do know that at certain times of the year, there is a patch of weird grass right here at the corner of my property. I'm pretty sure there is some type of buried structure right at the corner of the interior fence of my property. That is one thing we are going to explore in this class. A crop mark is something where the vegetation does not grow properly because of some type of disturbance underneath the ground. You cannot see it right now, but at certain times of stress, the vegetation will either be more or less vigorous than the surrounding area if there's a buried feature. So always keep your eyes open for some type of marks in the surface vegetation. So the area in between that outbuilding and the creek that I showed you is the most likely area of activity for this historic property. For one reason, there was a latrine, a privy, an outhouse, somewhere in this area. So in looking for a place to dig, I am very interested in this part of my backyard. Because there, right by that satellite dish, is the intermittent stream, our outbuildings, and the carriage house actually is back in that thicket as well. So we have a cluster of historic structures, everything pointing towards that intermittent stream. So that's your first video assignment. Do what I just did. Give me an initial walkover of your property. Tell me a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your property, what you expect in certain areas, and what hazards you have already anticipated. Of course, I also assume that you are following the other assignments, which are to call 811, which is in this area called misutility, to make sure that this is verified by an authority.
All right. Very good. So, the main point of all of that was to walk through the property with fresh eyes, with an archaeologist's eye. Walk through and say, okay, well, this part of the landscape has this type of vegetation and ground cover. This part of the landscape seems to have more indications of high potential for buried features. That's a term I'm going to use a lot. Archaeologists, by the way, features and artifacts are the two things that we generally deal with. Artifacts are the things that come up out of the ground. Features are things that if you took it out of the ground, it wouldn't really exist anymore, like a house, like a foundation, a wall. A wall is only a wall when it's all put together. You can take all the rocks out of a wall, but you just have a pile of rocks now. You no longer have a wall. So features are things like walls, pits, anything that is kind of in the ground, and if you removed it, it would be destroyed. So we're going to be looking at artifacts and features. Tell me, where on your landscape might you expect to find features? Walk over your landscape and look for hazards, look for vegetation. Are there any concerns, thoughts, just anything that indicates to you areas where you might have difficulty or areas that might actually be of good potential to dig? So that is assignment 1. And what I would like to do is kind of keep this line open, this Zoom session open. And for those of you who are right there with your site, go do it. And then what we'll do is we'll come back and we will practice uploading to YouTube. Who here has never uploaded to YouTube before? Okay, all right. So we're gonna create a free account, all right? You each can create your own so that you have your own. and they can be what we call unlisted, which means that nobody will find your videos unless you send them the link. So it won't be out on the web for people to find if they search for it. So don't worry about privacy. It'll be unlisted. So everybody comfortable? I know there are a couple people who might not be able to do their field walkover right now, but if you can, that is what I would like you to do. It is about 9:45. Do you want to take an hour? An hour and meet back 10:45? So in an hour, I know we're in different time zones, but in 1 hour, why don't you everybody do that? I'm going to hang right here for anybody who has questions. And anybody who doesn't have questions, go ahead and do your little walkover. Oh, Ariel, I don't want an hour and 40-minute long discussion, okay? I would like this to be like 5-10 minutes at the most.
Yeah, I do apologize for that one, Don.
No, that's okay. So please just make it a brief thing. If you need any help, I am right here. If I'm away from my fireplace right here, it's just because I'm using the restroom or something, and I'll be right back. So I'm going to hang here for questions. If you think you know what you're doing, go to it, and I will meet you back here in about an hour.
Hey, Dr. Hickson, did you get my text?
Yes, that?
Did you get my text?
Does it start Shalom?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Then yes.
Okay, cool. Because I can't really answer or ask questions with my internet.
Oh, okay.
All right.
All right. So I have a lot of people already. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you could do. Yeah, if you want to make like a file. Since it's not going to be video, if you don't have to do video. Actually, I think in some ways your situation being as rural as you are without good internet, if you wanted to take photos and then throw those photos into maybe a Microsoft Word file and just kind of caption them.
Okay.
I don't know.
I have to get the SD card off my camera, then I'll do that right now.
All right.
Okay, see you in a bit.
Yep. Other questions? So, Sarah, were you saying that you aren't able to hit your site today? All right, I understand.
I can go to I'm going to be going to a different area for my site. I can be there in a couple hours.
Oh, okay. No, that's okay. You don't need to do that today. Just you understand what we're doing though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, service is pretty good up there, but there's no Wi-Fi. So I'm hoping I can do videos, but
well, see, that's the beauty of the way we're doing this is that what my thought is that for Zoom, we need to be kind of live, but you don't need very big bandwidth for Zoom, right? You can even Zoom with a cell phone just over the airwaves. But if you wanted to like upload a video, well, video, depending on how you shot it, might be quite a big upload.
yeah.
And but if you shoot your video and then come home and upload it, then that probably is the best way to do it. Shoot your video while you're like, while you're digging, set up a tripod next to you, tape what you're doing, because we're going to be doing this when we're excavating. We're going to be taping ourselves, doing each step. Do it more like a tape then upload rather than kind of a live feed.
Okay.
And that way you only would have to need strong Wi-Fi when you were actually uploading a video. Otherwise, this type of zooming actually is pretty easy. Zoom can work even over a cell phone. So
Okay. I am probably going to be staying at that property next week
yeah?
for duration. So
cool.
hopefully I'll have to figure it out. It is like, it's pretty rural. So it's
Okay.
like 45 minutes into town.
Okay, well, so then if you're going to be like, are you going to be camping there?
Yeah, I have a van that I stay in. So.
All right. Wow, you are going to rough it. That's awesome. So we will work stuff out. The other option then is if Zoom actually works better than uploading for you, we can, for you can actually do some of it live. Or there's a record function on Zoom. And it'll just kind of record into the cloud. That might be an option for you.
Okay.
So we'll work it out. Well,
yeah, we can figure it out. How good.
Yeah, no stress.
Huh?
There's never any stress in my class. Everybody just do your best.
All right. Cool. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So should I check back in an hour or?
Absolutely. So for those who aren't doing that part, may I suggest make sure, have you called 811 yet? Have you called Miss Utility? If you have, great. If you have not, go ahead and look up your region, or each region is called differently, but call before you dig. Have you called them?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, not yet.
Okay. And
I can actually do mine if I just go in the front yard. It's a secondary site, so I'll go there and check it out. Because that could be a good lesson. Maybe I decide not to do it.
There you go.
I'm doing my walkthrough. So.
All right. I'm actually going to use the restroom, everybody. I will meet you back here in a little bit.
All right.
All right.